Ready to ride, Judd?
Always. You know, in the late 60s, it seemed like the whole country was on a rock and roll high. And to me, motorcycles were an essential part of that scene. They were everywhere it was cool to be. And that's when people started seeing the riders as the new American cowboys.
We like riding the Iron Horse, too.
That's right. But Harley wasn't thinking about images when it introduced the Shovelhead back in 1966. Bankruptcy was a real possibility, and the U.S. was about to be torn apart.
America was involved in a war nobody wanted, nobody understood, and nobody seemed able to get us out of. Others were driven to the streets protesting the American dream they felt had passed them by. It was a time of questioning and a time of turmoil. For the baby boom generation, it was nothing short of an upheaval in their music, in their fashions, and in their ideals.
You ever been to Levin?
No.
God. I think it's gonna be like Easter and Christmas and New Year's and your birthday all together, you know. It's gonna be too much, and the vibrations are just gonna be flowing everywhere.
Traditional values were no longer being challenged, they were being replaced. The youth culture became the counterculture, and Harley-Davidson became one of its symbols. Freedom was the cry of the 60s, the freedom of the wind, the freedom of speed. But for some, freedom became confused with defiance. A small number of riders, the one percenters or outlaws, began grabbing headlines with outrageous and violent antics. Hollywood again picked up on this phenomenon, and a new wave of motorcycle movies appeared. The rebel image of the 50s was history. The wild ones had evolved into bikers.
Yeah, we don't want nobody telling us what to do. We don't want nobody pushing us around.
Just what is it that you want to do?
Well, we want to be free. We want to be free to do what we want to do. We want to be free to ride. And we want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
Most of these films were ridiculous, but they imprinted a powerful image on the world. Bikers invariably riding Harleys were a brotherhood based on anarchy, a brotherhood of sex, violence, and danger. They did what they wanted when they wanted, and they appealed to the public in a most primal way. Not all the images were so negative. This classic film depicted two bikers on a non-violent quest for meaning. They called it a search for America, but really it was a search for values, the fundamental values that built America.
Well, you sure got a nice spread here.
Yeah, sure got a lot of them.
No, I mean it. You've got a nice place. It's not every man that can live off the land, you know. You do your own thing in your own time.
Easy Rider defined the struggles and philosophy of the era, and it crystallized Harley as a worldwide symbol of freedom.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way.
The biker image touched all areas of the counterculture. Underground artists like Spain used Harleys repeatedly for their graphic and symbolic power. And a separate biker culture began to emerge, centering itself on custom machines and a loosely defined lifestyle. Mainstream society could no longer ignore what was happening.
Taking a trip?
What's that?
Taking a trip.
Yeah.
Where to?
Oh, I don't know. Wherever I end up, I guess.
Well, I wish I was you.
Really? Yeah. Man, hang in there.
A primetime television series began exploring the freedom themes of riding. The lone biker was a modern knight on a personal vision quest, traveling the highways, helping those in need. 10 years before, this character would have been a cowboy, riding the range and heading off into the sunset. But America was entering a new decade.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
By the time man walked on the moon, the American biker had become as much a part of our culture as the astronaut in the Old West. But this positive image proved to be short-lived, and it didn't solve Harley's money problems. AMF did. They bought the motor company in 1969. Now, there are many people who still mutter about the AMF bikes, claiming they're not real Harleys. But one fact stands out. If it weren't for AMF, Harley might not be around today.
We had quality problems. We made too many products, and we didn't have our hand on quality the way we should have. And that was a mistake. We're pushing too many out just to get them in the pipeline. And if we did anything wrong in those years, that was it. But I mean, AMF did have deep pockets, and they were willing to get into our R&D funding that we needed.
AMF made some poor decisions, but it did one thing right. It was called the Super Glide. This was a new concept in motorcycles, a chopped bike right out of the factory. It was the brainchild of this young designer, Willie G. Davidson.
It was a mild custom, but a major step for our company, and I'm very proud of that vehicle and the lineage that it's developed, because it's become a kind of signature lineup of vehicles that have done very well volume-wise, and I think they are on target relative to our customers. I mean, our customers are telling us, yeah, you're doing that one right, so as long as we stay close and listen, we're okay.
While Harley was breaking new grounds in design, there were no breakthroughs in motorcycling's image. Bikers replaced Nazis as the villains of Hollywood. They were bad guy shorthand, no explanation necessary. If they rode bikes, they were bad. Shoot, they didn't even have to actually be on the bikes. They were still bad. Harley struggled along with this biker image. Besides quality control problems, there was tough competition from overseas. After dominating the entry-level market, Japanese manufacturers introduced more powerful, high-performance machines. The British bike industry, once the world leader, was driven out of existence. Other European makes continued on subsidies, and Harley-Davidson was in trouble. By 1979, its share of U.S. sales had fallen to less than 4%. Harley's support came only from hardcore loyalists. Some called them apologists, for by now Harley was considered the dinosaur of the motorcycle world. Few thought it could avoid extinction.
His Excellency's car! Oh, no, you don't. I'm not taking any more chances. You can only fool a firefly twice. This time you ride in the sidecar. This is the only way to travel.